it's Penny Black and Jill Foster here with the PB&J card class, and today I'll be creating a autumn card using our Brushstroke stamp called Full Bloom, and I'll also be sharing another sample using the stamp called Pumpkin Patch. And here's a look at the card that I'll be creating in today's video. And to begin, I'm working with my stamp and I'm coloring directly onto my stamp using Tombow dual brush pens. And I have the exact colors and all the supplies used on today's card listed at the very end of the video. And I'm just coloring directly onto my stamp. So for the stems of this image, I colored just with a dark brown. And now on the leaves, I'm using 2 shades of yellow. And I'm coloring the entire leaf with the lightest shade. And then I'll go back in with the darker shade just at the base of the leaves. I really love this stamp. It's actually a Christmas stamp, but by changing the colors of the stamp, it really can be used for any season. I just caught one more leaf there that I almost forgot. Now for the berries, I'm going to use a really beautiful sort of wine-colored red, and then I will go back in also with a darker brown and just color a few of the berries with that to give some variation to the stamp design so that it's not all one color. And here you can see me doing that, just adding that extra color in. And there's no need to be exact. I'm going to be spritzing this with water, and so everything will sort of blend together. So you don't need to be perfectly exact. So here I'm just spritzing this with water, and you'll see that the ink starts to bead up a little bit. And I'm going to stamp this down onto the textured side of my watercolor paper, and then lift up, and you can see it's that easy to get a beautiful stamped image. So what I did is I went ahead and repeated that around the edge of the card and the bottom, and now I'm going in just to add a little extra detail and shading with a watercolor pencil. This is a Faber-Castell Design Memory Craft Art Grip Aquarelle watercolor pencil, just coloring that at the base of the leaves. And I really like to do this with lots of different brushstroke images, whether it's a flower, any type of image, and just go back in with the watercolor pencils and then blend that out. And I'm just using plain water with a watercolor paintbrush. And the marker ink that is stamped with will also reblend when water is added. So it just blends things even more. It's also a good trick if you don't put enough pressure onto the stamp and you have an area that doesn't stamp very well. You can go back in and just reblend it with the water, paint it in. So I went ahead and dried that. I used a heat gun just to speed up the process. And now I'm using some Memento inks to add some inking on top. I'm just starting off the edge and using a sponge applicator tool to apply that on. The first color I'm doing is Peanut Brittle. And then I will add a little bit darker color, Toffee Crunch, along that edge. Now I want to add some splatters, mostly because I got a little smudge up at the top corner. So I'm just covering that up. I colored with my marker on acrylic block, added water with my paintbrush, and I'm just splattering that onto the background. And now this is Penny Black's stamp called Footnotes. I use this stamp all the time, and I'm coloring it onto the stamp with a marker, another dual brush pen. And I'm not covering the entire stamp because I don't want it to stamp perfect. I just want it to look like it's in the background. So I'm just coloring on there, and I'll work my way up on the sides. And you can see I just keep repeating that same process. Sometimes you can just stamp without re-inking again. You can just keep going and that'll give you a little bit lighter effect. It's really easy to ink up that stamp with the marker. I just turn it so that the brush tip is sort of along the side, and I just color right onto the stamp. If you're using an ink pad, you could ink your stamp with the ink pad and then remove some of the ink with a baby wipe or a paper towel before stamping if you don't want it to stamp perfectly or the entire image to stamp. And once I was done, I just embellished this with a die cut sentiment. This is Penny Black's Words of Gratitude, and also some die cut butterflies from their Flights of Fancy set. And this technique, I made a second card using the new Brushstroke stamp Pumpkin Patch by Penny Black. Exact same technique used here. And it's just a really fun way to get the look of a hand-painted image. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed today's video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. You can also follow Penny Black on Facebook, Pinterest, and Twitter, and visit our website, www.pennyblackink.com. And here's a list of all the supplies used.